Welcome to Technado with Don Pezet, featuring sysadmin expert Don Pezet, DevOps engineer Justin Dennison, security specialist Daniel Lowry, and Peter.
Hello and welcome to Technado with Don Pezet. Got a really good show for you today. We're going to play a new game in a little bit. We got a lot of news to talk about and really mostly focusing on Irish Tinder. We'll get to that a little bit later. And speaking of, well, no, that's not a good segue.
Speaking of Irish Tinder,
I was wondering how you were going to tie that in.
It was in no way intended to be a segue. I'd like to welcome our guest, Brendan O'Connor, who's the CEO of AppOmni. How you doing, Brendan?
Doing well.
And where are you in the Bay Area?
I'm in San Francisco,
See,
right in the shadow of Salesforce Tower, downtown.
Oh, yes. Beautiful tower. You've been there, right, Don? No.
I have not, no. I mean, I've been to San Francisco numerous times. I haven't been to Salesforce.
Maybe I'm thinking of LinkedIn.
Or AppOmni.
You should go up there. It's some of the best views in the city.
Really? Is that a new building?
Yeah, it's. I think they finished it a little less than a year ago, but 61 stories tall, and at the top they've got a coffee shop that's open to the public.
Oh, that sounds great. And right on the San Andreas Fault there. That's a fantastic idea. I'll stay here in Hurricane Alley, please.
Coffee is better when you feel a little bit of risk,
Sure.
danger.
Like, am I jittery from the caffeine or the actual building shaking?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get to know Brendan and find out all about AppOmni in our first segment. Let's get this rolling with rapid fire questions.
Who do you work for?
All right.
Who are you?
What's happening?
What's wrong with you?
I always get the easy question, Brendan, and that is just, can you tell us what AppOmni is? I mean, I went to the website and I saw all the buzzwords, but if you could put it in your own words, that would be great.
It's mostly buzzwords.
I knew it.
No. Our mission is very simple. We help people secure the apps that power the enterprise. And today, the enterprise runs on software as a service. More and more apps are moving to the cloud, and they're delivered natively via SaaS, whether it's apps like Salesforce, G Suite, O365, Workday, ServiceNow. That's where businesses are running. It's the most critical data, and we help customers scan, secure, and monitor their SaaS applications in the public cloud.
Well, that you might have hinted at it, but did the idea for AppOmni come from your time at Salesforce, where you were the CSO or the what is it, VP of Product Security? That was a long phrase. Or was it something else that you just saw you needed?
You know what? I was at Salesforce for 10 years. It was great as VP of Product Security and then the CISO there. But it wasn't my time at Salesforce that gave me the need. It was my time at ServiceNow. So I left Salesforce after 10 years, and I was the Security CTO at ServiceNow. And I went in there really expecting to be able to add value on day one. I knew cloud, I knew SaaS, I knew Salesforce really, really well. What I learned from my time at ServiceNow is none of my experience translated. Every SaaS application is like its own language. And the fact that I'm fluent in English, I shouldn't expect to be fluent in Japanese. It's a different language, different grammar, different alphabet. And that's what I learned going from 10 years at Salesforce with deep domain expertise and going to ServiceNow and really feeling lost and having to relearn everything from the ground up. And the idea for AppOmni came from, hey, all of these applications are in every enterprise, and they're all different. And security teams don't have time to stay up to date on all the config, all the control panel, the schema, the security model. They're all different. And so they're often overlooked. And so we wanted to build a product to help people very quickly understand what their security posture is in SaaS applications, how they rank against best practices, and identify areas where they need to change their configuration or tighten up their access controls. It's a very common problem.
So I understand the problem as you stated, and how you're able to help with that, I guess. But I don't understand how it works, because I know for me, somebody with boots on the ground, if I use Salesforce or some other CRM, NetSuite or whatever, my data kind of disappears. As I send it over, I'm exercising a ton of trust that they're going to protect my data, they're going to make sure it doesn't get out there, that they're securing their systems, and I don't really have a way to verify that. They're not going to let me pen test their servers. They've got their rules in place. So how is it that you're able to step in and do that, like to ensure that we're maintaining proper security practices?
Well, really, it's not the cloud provider that you need to worry about. Cloud providers aren't perfect, but in general, the major SaaS providers are doing security as well as customers are doing it themselves, if not better. But buying a safe car doesn't make you a good driver. So you can have a hardened perimeter, you can have up-to-date vulnerability management, you can have hardened host infrastructure, but that's not your problem. If someone makes a config change that exposes an API to the public internet, data can be leaked. And it's not SQL injection, it's not cross-site scripting, it's not RCE in the code that the cloud provider has. Last week on your show, you talked about LabCorp and how their CRM had data exposed to the public internet, and there was a breach that came out of that. That's an example of where a configuration change that was maybe made with good intentions, but without security oversight, can lead to data exposure on the internet. It's not really the cloud provider's fault if you drive the car off the road.
Well, are there any SaaS products that you would say that have a greater risk of data leak?
I mean, honestly, we see it everywhere. So whether it's exposing an API accidentally or oversharing a file or folder to anyone with link, it takes many different forms, but it's a problem with the speed of business. You have kind of democratized security controls where individuals with good intentions throughout the business are making risk decisions every day, and security just doesn't have visibility. If you try and share something in Google Drive or O365 to anyone with link, they're going to warn you, you're about to share this externally. It's really hard to blame the cloud provider for that transaction, but the person that made that choice may not have understood that they were putting data for their company at risk. And security can't gate every little change, every little sharing setting. It's really hard. It's happening all the time. So our mission is to put guardrails in place and let security policies be in place that, keep the drivers on the road.
Yeah, what I always say is leak my data once, shame on you. Leak my data twice.
Shame on you.
You're not going to leak it again. I believe. Paraphrasing.
I don't think that's how the saying goes.
Paraphrasing George W. Bush there. So his version of the saying went. Well, we're going to have a little fun here, I think. Well, first of all, thank you for listening last week, Brendan. I noticed that we had a listener last week, and I was like, I wonder where, because
I
my
was
mom.
the one?
Yeah, well, my mom's in Florida, and I'm like, she wouldn't be listening from California, but that all makes sense now. So thank you for that. So let's go ahead and have some fun now. We're gonna play a little pop quiz here, and this one we're calling Leak of Legends.
This is a pop quiz.
All right, so
Yeah.
I had this dumb idea, and the way it works around here at Technado is if you have a dumb idea, all of a sudden you're responsible for it.
Yeah.
So, so I whipped up a little game, and I thought this would be kind of fun. A lot of people feel like their data isn't going to get leaked, or they're a small target. Nobody's going to mess with them. But the reality is, even the big guys have problems. So I collected a couple of good leaks that I wanted to kind of talk about. I'm going to give a hint as to the company, and then if you guys can try and guess the company. And I have, I think, 3 or 4 hints for each one.
So we won't just yell it out. We'll say when we know it. Say, hey, I know that one.
Okay.
Okay.
That
Because otherwise, this is going to be a free-for-all.
it's a new game, so we can kind of change up the rules as we go to be like Calvin Ball.
It's going to become a free-for-all.
I do love some Calvin Ball.
Yeah. All right. So our first hint is this company wants to get you to your destination as fast as possible. But that didn't stop them from waiting 6 months to disclose a data breach exposing 50,000 records in 2014.
I think I know.
I know this one.
You do? Wow.
All right. And Daniel, you think you know it?
Maybe.
Okay. So we've got...
Just from the hint that you gave.
All right. Their second data leak occurred in 2017, resulting in over 57 million records making it onto the dark web for easy purchase.
Okay, so I'm still confident. I think I know.
All right.
Does that make sense? No.
The second breach was actually detected in 2016, but they paid a bug bounty / bribe to silence the attacker.
Yeah, is it a bug bounty if they're already exploiting it? I don't
So
think that
I
counts.
think the way it works is you can rename a bribe to a bug bounty. You can't go the other way around.
for taxes, you can't put it on as bribe.
All right, the last hint here is this leak was caused by failure to use MFA on their GitHub account. Not a lot of the
Nothing,
attackers
Justin?
get in.
I got nothing.
All right, Brendan.
All right.
Who you got, Brendan?
All right, it's Uber, but I'm going to say I love bug bounty programs, so I'm very pro bug bounty.
I'm pro bribes. I thought this was. I at first I thought it was British Airways because didn't they have a leak as well?
British Airways did.
I mean, I feel like
but-
they go faster than Uber. They can get me to my destination a lot faster.
Isn't it easier for us to list out people that haven't had a leak?
Maybe that'll be our next game.
That's next game. Yeah.
Who's secure? Yeah. For now.
The company that launched yesterday.
Who is yet to disclose that they've been breached?
All right,
So that's
that one.
Uber is correct.
That was Uber.
All right,
yes.
so we've got 1 point now for.
I
for
feel like
Brendan.
our guest might have one up on us.
Well, yeah,
I should hope so.
he's in the industry.
It would have been funny if he'd have been like Waffle House.
They get you
You
where
don't
you're
know about
going
the Waffle
faster.
House?
Neiman Marcus.
The great Waffle House data leak.
Did Waffle House have a breach?
I'm sure.
I'm sure they have. I mean,
Who hasn't?
Have you eaten at Waffle House?
I hear they have your data.
I want to get that recipe. Their waffles are great.
There's a leak at Waffle House.
Yeah.
But,
They keep your data smothered, covered, diced. Do you know all the?
I don't remember all of them.
All right.
Good time.
covered in cockroaches.
Okay, so we're going to switch over.
Number
This
2.
one is in the gaming industry. So this gaming company can help you take care of a cow, but they can't help you protect your data. Their 2019 breach resulted in 173 million player records being disclosed.
100% got this one.
What's a cow?
They're in San Francisco, I think, Brendan.
Yeah, I think I know this one too.
Yeah.
All right. Their games primarily focus on the Android and iOS platforms, resulting in a very diverse user base. And last hint for this one, that should be the giveaway. Their mobile game hits include Farmville and Words with Friends.
So I know those games, but I have no idea who makes them.
It's Zynga, right?
It is Zynga.
Oh my gosh,
Yep.
I'm smarter than Daniel and Justin.
Or you spend a lot more time playing games than we do.
Right, yeah.
that simulate things that we actually
Cows.
grew up around.
Yeah.
That's the Words with
I
Friends.
moved away from the cows.
Words with Friends is how I keep in touch with my mom and my brother.
Gotcha.
Ah, that's
Instead of actual
unfortunate
human
for your-
interaction.
Yeah.
All right, let's
You,
go on
you
to our
got
next
that one too, right, Brendan?
I got it. Zynga. I
Yeah.
know that.
All right.
He breached Zynga. That's why.
Yes.
No, I'm one of the good guys.
You should all
During
be able
the
to
day.
get this one.
What the bad guys say.
We're switching over to social media.
Okay.
This social media company wants to help you connect to friends and family, whether you like it or not. In 2019, they unintentionally harvested users' contact lists, resulting in 1.5 million email addresses being exposed.
It's a small list here.
Definitely Friendster.
Assume.
I think.
It's Friendster.
Yeah, it's
Friendster.
MySpace.
In 2019, gentlemen.
29.
I don't think MySpace has 1.5 million users.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But it's his contact list, so maybe. Next hint, not wanting to be outdone, they topped off their previous breach, or they topped their previous breach, when they accidentally left a database exposed to the internet, resulting in 267 million records being disclosed.
Fort Meade.
It's definitely Friendster.
All right, so Justin's got
And they rounded off 2019 by not securing an Amazon S3 bucket, resulting in 146 gigabytes of data tied to 540 million users being exposed.
Okay, who'd like to go first?
I'm pretty sure it's Facebook.
Facebook. Yeah.
Facebook?
gotta
Is
be
it Facebook?
Yep, that one is Facebook.
All right.
All right.
It's like they're trying to be like, hey, you want some data?
Who
We
else
got
has
you,
that many
man.
users?
Yeah, that's a good
Well, you know,
point.
Facebook likes to do things big, so they said we're going to have a huge data breach.
I'm saving the
3
best
times.
for last.
Oh, there's
but,
one more.
I have 2 more. Do we have time?
Jesus, well,
Let's jump to the last one then.
I'm being told we have time for one more.
One more. Okay, we'll jump to the last one. This search engine started warming up in 2012 when a SQL injection attack was leveraged to compromise the unencrypted passwords of 450,000 accounts.
Okay, Alta Vista, but yeah.
Lycos
Like, yeah.
web crawler.
Know
They-
this one.
Ask Jeeves.
They
pretty sure.
followed that stunning victory with another breach in 2013. Law enforcement had to inform them that hackers had compromised over 3 billion accounts on their system and were
Yep.
selling the data on the dark web. The attack was later attributed to nation-state actors in Russia.
That rules out Bing when you said, you know,
Billion.
yeah, billion
You
users.
said users.
right.
These active users, yeah.
Last hint, let's make it a trifecta. In 2014, this company basically gave up and allowed hackers to walk away with another 500 million accounts. Name that company.
I think I have it.
Yahoo.
Yeah,
Say
Yahoo.
Yahoo. Is
That is Yahoo. Yep.
they get a big fine over that?
All right. So,
Well, Brendan got all 4.
What do I win?
as he
That's my
should, it's his
question.
industry. You win integrity and
Respect.
credibility in your field.
We'll send you a gift basket we bought off the dark web.
Yeah. We will send you all of your data back.
I guess, that was a risk I didn't think about. Like, what if he didn't get any of them?
Yeah. Let's go ahead and
Not a
wrap
very good
this
guess,
show
Mike.
up. Hey, well, let's take a quick break, and we're going to come back in just a moment. Brendan's going to join us, and we're going to talk about the news from this week right here on Technado with Don Pezet. Be right back.
The IT Pro TV app is available for iOS and tvOS. The modern user interface makes navigation easy. Recently watched videos can be found on the home screen, as well as our daily live streams. Choose landscape mode for larger viewing. Access the entire course library by clicking on the play icon. Navigate our content by category, certification, and job role. Learn where you want and when you want as a premium annual member by downloading episodes for offline viewing. Watch on the go and pick up later on any of your favorite devices. So head to the App Store and download the IT Pro TV app.
All right, welcome back to Technado with Don Pezet. We're joined today by Brendan O'Connor, CEO of AppOmni. And let's go ahead and jump right into the news from this week. A lot of good stories to talk about. Tom's Hardware has our first article. VMware's new licensing fees are going to hurt AMD's 64-core EPYC Rome. You'll pay twice as much for VMware if you have more than 32 cores in a single CPU. So I'm fine. I don't think I have that many cores.
Well, yeah, Steve Jobs understood that nobody needed that many cores.
Sure.
Yep.
So, you don't get that option. But, AMD just can't seem to catch a break. They, for years, have been crushed by Intel, especially in the server market where they have next to zero market share. But in recent years, they've been putting out some really good processors. Intel had their stumble with Spectre and Meltdown, so people started looking at other processor types. And AMD has finally started making a foothold, and we're seeing servers ship with AMD processors and other things now. But where they've had some great success now, it's kind of coming back to hurt them. Their EPYC Rome processors have up to 64 cores, which is pretty impressive, right? You get 2 CPUs, now you got 128 cores. See how I did that math?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, I'm impressed. You know what? I think I'm just going to go ahead and go home.
Yeah. What do we need you, Mr.
Yeah,
Math
that's
degree?
what it's here for.
So that's really awesome to have it in such a small form factor. The problem is some software out there is licensed by the number of sockets you're using and not by the number of cores, right? So if I have a 4-core processor or an 8-core or a 16-core processor, if my software is licensed per socket, it's still just one license. The company doesn't make any money or any more money. Well, VMware has made the decision to limit their licenses to 32 cores. So if you have a 32-core processor, that's one license for ESX or vSphere, depending on how you buy it. But if you have a 64-core processor, you now have to have 2 licenses for it, even though it's one socket.
And if you have a dual CPU like motherboard, that would be 4 licenses, right?
Yeah, if you had 2 of these 64-core processors. Now, just to put everything in perspective, a VMware license is usually in the $4,000 to $5,000 range, so it would effectively double that. But these Rome processors are like $7,000 themselves right now because they're pretty new.
So these are for like servers and things.
Yeah. You wouldn't. Like, let's say you put it in your computer at home, there's really no way you'd be able to leverage this many cores.
Yeah.
And at this point, I mean, they have a Threadripper, right? Threadripper's 32, so you can just do that in your home computer, and it's not $7,000.
Yeah. Well, and at the extra license cost, it's almost like the equivalent of buying a second server and bringing up equipment there. So
How do you think the boardroom was at AMD when this got published? Do you think somebody went, "This is some bullshit"?
I have a theory, and I don't know if this is true or not, but they probably said, who runs VMware anymore anyway?
So is this one of those things? So I didn't even know this pricing model existed. I read this article and I was like,
Yeah.
What? But what are how do you go about changing this? Like, does this affect previous installations?
Well, it will in the new versions of VMware, yeah. But if you think about it, previous installations aren't going to have 64 cores because it's all pretty new. So it won't be that widespread. But it's a situation where the cost of a license is going to affect the hardware decisions that you make. And VMware's not the only one doing this. Microsoft SQL Server, they do per core licensing. Any software that's per core has to be looking at, per socket. Anybody who's doing per socket licensing has to be thinking about these increasing core numbers. It's kind of
Is AMD the only processor that has that many cores, like above 32?
There's actually plenty of people that do, but theirs is the most market ready available, not custom. Because Sun Microsystems was doing this stuff a long time ago.
So just off the shelf AMDs you're going to be go to.
And I think they said in the article that Intel has one queued up that's got 56 cores.
Yeah,
coming up next year.
I don't know why.
They're putting the kibosh on right now.
So, you know what I think when I hear 56 cores? Because it's a weird
number. We can't get the last 8 to work.
That's right. They're baking in a failure rate into their number. We'll just block off any bad cores.
Brendan, did you guys did Spectre and Meltdown affect your customers at all? Is that something that you guys would have dealt with?
That's something we deal with. We're at a little bit higher level. We're more at the configuration API level, where Spectre and Meltdown is happening much lower at the operating system level. In fact, most SaaS providers weren't really impacted by it. It was happening deep enough in the stack that it didn't surface for the customer.
I got to get one of these chips, these new chips. I'm gonna
Doritos Cool Ranch.
get all my licenses.
Things are amazing.
So we didn't grab the article for this week, but people have been digging into some of the betas of the macOS Catalina update that's coming out, and there are mentions of AMD processors in there. So we might see a AMD-based Mac at some point.
Ooh, I should let you know, I finally upgraded.
Oh, to Catalina?
Yeah, and everything worked.
And it still works.
I finally hit a program where I could not update the program. Premiere wouldn't let me get the latest update. Adobe.
Oh, because they were requiring the new one?
Yeah.
You got to upgrade sooner or later.
I was like 4 versions behind.
Otherwise, you become the weak link in security.
He's running Snow Leopard.
I just love that wallpaper.
Yeah, it's so great.
It's really good. Apparently, you can put any wallpaper, though.
Yeah,
So,
that's a feature.
Yeah, didn't matter. My mistake. All right, our next article is over at Engadget. Microsoft is merging its Windows and hardware teams. Surface creator Panos Panay will lead the unified Windows and devices unit. So I'm trying to figure out what this
I thought you were going to say, who cares?
yeah. So, well, I mean, essentially, that's what I'm getting at. But, I mean, does that just mean we're baking Windows deeper into the hardware somehow? It doesn't really.
Deep Windows.
So,
Deep Windows.
you know,
Deep
there's a whole, I'm trying to think of the right buzzword, paradigm shift? Is this a
Corporate
time for that one?
synergy.
Yeah. So in the past, it used to really matter what operating system you ran. And so there were people who were diehard Windows fans and people who were diehard Mac OS fans or Linux or whatever. You know, everybody had their OS. But increasingly, we're seeing people move to web-based applications and SaaS platforms and things where who cares what operating system? Your web browser is more important than which operating system you're running. And so in these scenarios, the focus is off of the operating system. And people don't think of Windows as being a cool, flexible operating system anymore. They think of it as being this
Speak for yourself.
backwards-looking whatever. Since Satya Nadella took over at Microsoft, he's been making a lot of big pushes into open source and software initiatives, and Microsoft Azure has been killing it since he took over. Solid in the number 2 spot on cloud and gaining on AWS every week. So, really impressive gains there, but definitely de-emphasizing the operating system. And so by combining these teams, Microsoft has a pretty successful, I hate the Microsoft Surface, but apparently a lot of people like them because they're selling like crazy. So the Microsoft Surface and Windows kind of go hand in hand. And so they're joining those teams under the same leadership so they can start to do a little bit more optimized decision making. But I'm confused because the new Duo that they're releasing later this year, that runs Android.
Which
And
on that Engadget article, actually, he's holding that. So if you're...
he is, if I bother to look at my screen.
Yeah, the link will be in the description on YouTube, and you can go ahead and check that out.
Now,
But,
I was reading the article, and they were basically trying to say, like, now that software and hardware are collaborating, we're going to get better products because of that. That was the idea.
Yeah, and in the
It's
past...
very telling on the industry where we're going. Like, it's SaaS, it's cloud. Microsoft, which is the workstation endpoint company, is bringing their OS unit closer to the hardware. It's becoming commoditized. Everything's moving to the cloud. I think that it's huge that Microsoft is saying that the cloud is the future.
yeah, desktop as a service.
Yeah.
DAS.
DAS.
They got to come up with a better name for that one.
Do you think we're going to have 2 divisions of Microsoft soon, and it will be Azure and other?
Xbox.
I mean,
Azure and Xbox.
Yeah, this is our Xbox / Excel division.
Well, there were a ton of, I think there was a documentary done on like how bad the communication was between teams at Microsoft. When you went to their campus, each building was almost siloed and they would
like a
compete
religious
against
war.
each other. Yeah. And so they wouldn't cooperate. There was active infighting. And so I think they're starting to overcome a lot of that, which is good.
Well, I spent a lot of time there actually at my old job. I was doing sales with Microsoft, so I was out there and taking the shuttle between buildings and all that, and so I could see that firsthand how that could happen. But the other thing that struck me is it seemed like you worked with someone for 6 months and then they moved positions. They switched teams. They went somewhere else, whichever department was growing. So it seemed like they could maybe never get that momentum at a position because if you were in the same position there for 2 years, you were the strange one.
You know what I heard you say? I'm better than you. That's all I heard. You were like, I was
I
back and
work
forth
for
there, and I was
Microsoft.
shuttling around, and
No, they have to have a shuttle because it's so big is what I'm saying.
Make sure that my shoes were clean before I get out of there.
No, and they gave out, all the sodas you could drink.
It is a massive campus, so being shuttled around is not
it's
too elitist.
it's a necessity. Yeah.
That's a necessity.
Yeah. Do you guys have do you have a shuttle yet, Brendan?
I do not have a shuttle yet. We're working on it.
They have an elevator.
I mean, you're
It's
literally
really nice.
So out of curiosity,
vertical shuttle.
you don't run Windows. I don't run Windows.
don't.
You don't run Windows. You run Windows, right?
I run everything, yeah.
Yeah. Brendan, what
I'm
about
a
you?
Mac and Linux guy.
Okay.
Mac and Linux. Oh, which distro?
Which distro? Ubuntu. Is
Ubuntu.
that even a question?
Uh-oh.
That's Don. Oh, they roll up my sleeves.
Oh, there's questions.
do you do Cali as your daily driver?
Like Cali is something I'm constantly in because of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So
But it's not your, you don't,
Cali's bootable. It's
you
not your
don't
workstation.
run it
all
on
that.
the metal.
no, I do not run it on the metal. No.
Yeah. And you're a Red Hat guy.
Yeah.
Fedora.
But usually Fedora.
I typically run like Ubuntu or Debian flavor.
But you're an
Yes.
Ubuntu guy, right? You said
Yeah. Well, Ubuntu flavored kind of
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
delicious.
I'm actually running Ubuntu, the 1804 server, right now for doing GSEC.
Yeah.
So I built a bunch of stuff on that.
And I am running Mojave.
Well,
Not
excellent.
in the same family, but I just
I
wanted.
thought you just said you upgraded to
Catalina?
Catalina.
Yeah, Catalina.
Oh, Catalina, whatever. I just want to be in the same conversation. I don't know what I'm running. Is that what it's called? Okay. I already changed the
Buttons, I
wallpaper.
push them and Facebook
Man,
comes
I'm
up.
about to get into Peter's account.
All right, let's head over now to our next article. It's on Wired.com. An artist used 99 phones to fake a Google Maps traffic jam. With his Google Maps hack, artist Simon Weckert draws attention to the systems we take for granted
I just
and
want to
how
say,
we let them shape us.
I love this article. This was so much fun to read.
Well, it made me think of I think it was Don's brother who has the thing in the back of his car with multiple phones on it to play Pokemon Go.
Oh, yeah. My brother-in-law.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, he's like,
Dave?
hold on, not blood related. But not blood related.
Listen, I am not sharing a gene pool with this guy.
He should have Waze running on all of them as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to
That is
slow down the
funny.
Yeah.
Pokemoning.
You know, it highlights how a lot of these companies like Facebook and Google and others, they don't actually have to manufacture a true product. We give them the product that they then make money on, right? It's kind of like blood banks. You know, people donate blood. Blood banks make a ton of money. So with Google Maps and Waze too, and really any of the mapping programs, they're effectively crowdsourcing all of their traffic data. So all the phones running Waze or all the phones running Google Maps are reporting back and giving them free traffic data. On a positive side, Google doesn't have to pay for it, and they get that for free, and then they monetize it through ads and tracking and other things. On a negative side, it means it's pretty easy to manipulate, which is what he proved here, where he borrowed a bunch of phones from a bunch of friends and walked around with a wagon, and it showed a traffic jam wherever he walked because he walked slow.
He crowdsourced a Google hack. It's funny.
The weirdest thing to me, though, is that an artist had 99 friends.
He does mention that he rented some that
Oh,
Yeah,
actually.
there were.
He was
He had
like,
his one friend.
I got 3 friends' phones, and then I had to rent 96 other phones.
That's expensive.
I don't know if you picked up on this, Brendan. We like to make fun of people.
We are
This is
horrible.
a great hack. There's
I was
something
sitting
beautiful about a wagon full of smartphones rolling down the street, causing a traffic jam.
I mean, it
It's a
was
great
his
hack.
main mode of transportation. So,
I wonder how many people, though, actually, were diverted as a result of this.
I mean, if
That-
you're using Waze, I love those programs because you're like,
Oh, yeah.
wow, there's a bunch of. I'm going to
Yeah.
take a left, but I mean, I would have avoided it,
yeah, heck yeah.
Dude,
but then I would have been really.
I would
upset.
tie like a dog to that thing and have it just run around. Put those shot collar barriers
Oh,
at each
yeah.
end of the street, and my street would be clear every day.
Now, Waze, let me see if this done this to you guys. I'll be on the interstate. There'll be a traffic jam. It'll tell me to get off on the exit. And I always do because, like, Waze knows what it's talking about. So I get off. And then it says, get back on. So you take
You're
the
just
off ramp
skipping
and you
the-
just get right back.
Yeah.
So you're skipping like 20 people and you're a total jerk, right? And
Like
so-
Waze told me to. I'm sorry.
I don't understand what the problem is.
Yeah.
I just use that green lane. It works really well.
Hey, Brendan,
Nobody's ever in it.
what were you going to say, Brendan?
I think this is a great example of how much trust we have in cloud services, and that sometimes, a hack is as simple as just looking and paying attention. Like, this guy was not a hacker, he was an artist, but he looked at how the API worked and he decided, hey, let me get a bunch of phones, and if I make them move really slow down the street, is that enough to, falsify information in this API? And in my experience, lots of cloud services, a lot of these APIs, if you look, you'll find that there's a lot out there. It's just people aren't looking, and data's exposed, that they're open to manipulation.
Would you say the problem comes from the fact that we just get we're we're creating a product and we kind of get tunnel vision on how we think it should work, and then we forget to think about how it may work, and that causes us, we just get all these. We don't see the bigger picture because we're so focused on trying to make it do a specific thing.
I think it's part of that, and the other part is just speed. Everyone has to just move quicker than ever. Everyone's under pressure, grow, evolve or die, and people are just throwing stuff out there as quickly as they can. They don't have bad intentions, but sometimes they don't have the time it takes to do either a proper security review or really think through some of the consequences of these design choices.
I think there's also a bit of trust involved, like the website IMDb, right? If I pull an actor up on IMDb and I see their movie list, in my mind, that is a true and accurate, complete movie. It doesn't even occur to me to doubt the accuracy of that list. When I go to Wikipedia, I have tons of doubt, right? I'm like, I don't really know who wrote this and stuff. But there are plenty of people who go to Wikipedia and are like, no, this is true. This is Barbara Streisand was in the Nazi Party. Like, that's
Oh, I heard that.
Yeah, that was a real
She
one.
was.
Yeah.
I mean, hang on. It was a real edit, not a real fact.
It's not a real fact.
Clarify.
Somebody actually wrote that in there.
And so when you have something like Waze, I trust that there's actually a traffic jam there, even though there isn't necessarily one.
Did Google buy Waze?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, here's a question I have. Do you, to make this work, does he have to have Google Maps open on all these phones? Or if he's got an Android phone, I mean, is Google just grabbing location data and using it for maps?
Yeah, like Google Maps is allowed to do background collection, and so it can participate in that even when it's not running, unless you've opted out.
Yeah, unless you say, I only want you to provide that if I'm using the app, right?
Yeah.
So he just walked around very slowly with his wagon full of phones.
Playing Pokemon
Somebody
Go.
probably thought he just ripped off a convenience store and burned off a store.
I like your idea of the dogs, though, better.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm very confused about the traffic patterns right now.
What's going on?
How did he
Lots
make
of
sure the right
U-turns.
phone got back to the right people? He's like, just call your phone, it'll ring.
Oh, your phone, grab the
Oh,
one
that's
that's ringing.
you.
Yeah, well,
But he rented 96 of them. So he didn't say that.
Good point.
yeah.
The two people that he borrowed it from.
All right, our next article is on Vice.com. An off-the-shelf skeleton project. Experts analyze the app that broke Iowa. Multiple experts analyze Shadow Inc.'s Iowa caucus app. They found all kinds of problems, and I think it starts with the name.
Real quick.
Yeah.
So I don't think I would. This is just me. I need a software product built, an important software product. We should go with Shadow Inc.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just like, right? Is that just me?
Like many government projects, they came up with a list of requirements and then got the lowest bidder, right? So
A shadowy
Inc.,
organization.
I wouldn't be surprised if like Russia actually put in a bid, but it was just a little bit higher.
And yeah, so of course we're talking about the app that they used at the Iowa caucuses. This is the first year I think that they went digital in the last year, and I think they were set. I read to use this same app for Nevada, which is in a couple weeks or pretty soon. It's one of the early ones, so I'm sure they're scrambling out there as well. But do we know what went wrong here?
All right, so the app was
Absolutely nothing.
was not very complex. It was a very, very simple app that even the CEO behind Shadow Inc. has said that it's really just a glorified calculator. It's supposed to tally up these votes and then report it back to a central server for the DNC to do their final tally. And, so it's very stripped down, very basic, a lot of off-the-shelf components that, one analyst, I think, went a little aggressive and said it's like somebody followed a web tutorial.
So I did get like agitated during part of this article. It was like, well, they're just adding parts to a pre-existing project. I'm like, yeah,
That's how
software
you do
development.
this.
I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. Let me write my own custom OAuth2.
No one starts with a blank
authentication.
document. All right, let's.
So none of that's really the problem. The problem is they just didn't stress test it. And so at the moment of truth, when all of a sudden you don't just have 5 people running it for test, you've got 500 or 5,000 people running it to submit these results, it collapsed. It wasn't able to report back. There were errors that didn't turn up in testing, and they failed to get it. And
Yeah, it was something to do with the way it was converting the information into something it couldn't actually read.
if there was like any bad data anywhere, it wasn't sanitized and it would break. And
Yeah.
But they also were trying to do like a migration to a different service, like while it was being used, which just seems like a bad, like, okay, I'll give you the just bolt parts together thing. But you know what we need to do? The Iowa caucuses are going on. We need to migrate to this different service.
Have you seen Silicon Valley?
No.
Yeah.
So there's a part in the beginning where they've got all the servers in their house and they're generating so much heat and they're worried about getting too much workload and they've got fans and they've cut holes in the wall and stuff and one of them catches on fire. Like that's the kind of stuff that happens to a startup. This was effectively a startup. I mean, we know that the elections this year are under more scrutiny than ever historically, right? Everybody is watching every single thing that gets done. So in that scenario, if you're going to use an app to report votes, what do you think the budget should be on something like that?
Probably
$40. You know,
hell
I
of
want
a
to buy it
lot
on
more.
Google Play. And
Yeah, a hell of a lot more than $68,000. That's
Yeah.
for sure. And
I was like, that's a heck of a deal right there.
They should pass it on to the voters. Say, yeah, would like to vote? Yeah, come on in and just download this. It's 99 cents, and there's in-app purchases.
The freemium model.
And there's a Biden ad because you didn't pay for this one. So
for
watch
free.
that.
You can only vote for
Candidate
independents.
paywall.
Yeah, get paywall,
Get the paywall,
microtransactions. Yeah, the whole thing.
I've been in the software industry a long time, and I'll tell you, writing code is easy. Building software is hard. And it looks like this app, they wrote a bunch of code, but they didn't build software. Testing is part of it. Delivery is part of it. API stress testing is part of it. For what I've seen, this app just really wasn't, it was put together pretty quick, and a lot of best practices weren't followed, and the testing definitely didn't occur. But it's hard. Building quality software is really hard.
In their
That's why
defense,
some of the startups fail.
the article said that all the calculations were correct. It just didn't show up on time.
Yeah. And it's a big deal because donors and PACs and stuff have dumped
Right.
millions of dollars into informing the Iowa voters so that they can pick who the Democratic nominee will be. Whoever wins in Iowa gets a really big leg up on that journey. So
Big
tons of
kick,
money.
yep.
And all that money has effectively been pissed away now. But I don't feel bad about that because it's political money and you're pissing it away anyway, right? So
I'm just gonna run a smear campaign with it, so it's one less ad I gotta see.
So to me, I guess if I was one of those donors, I would care, but otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, and the candidates weren't upset because, that you didn't get my results right. Because, like you said, in the end, they got the results right. They were upset that I can't have my speech or I say I won or,
right.
hey, we'll do better next time. You've got to move on and go,
That's a
I
big
don't
deal.
know what happened in this
Stole
one.
my
So,
thunder.
yeah, that's big for fundraising for them.
Good for New Hampshire, though.
Good for New Hampshire, which is going on as we record this right now. Very exciting. Very exciting. Do you think we're going to have another election-related story before the end of the year?
Probably not.
Yeah, I
No
imagine
doubt.
so.
No, you doubt it? Okay.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think-
Absolutely, we will.
I have confidence.
Absolutely, we will.
Before the end of this episode. Well, breaking news out of New Hampshire. All right, this one's a lot of fun. Over on newseurope.eu, Google and Tinder are under investigation in Ireland over data processing. I wonder how Google feels getting lumped in there
With Tinder.
with Tinder on this one. But you talk about an app you don't want to leak data.
Now, I mix these up, so help me for some clarification here. Tinder and Grindr. Which one is the
I ain't touching that.
mainstream, normal?
Tinder,
All right, Peter.
Yeah, yeah, Peter, what is it?
Yeah, what's the difference?
Yeah, I mean, if anybody knows, it's you.
Tinder is targeted towards, I believe, everyone, because you can set, I'm looking for men, I'm looking for women, I'm a woman, I'm a man. And Grindr is, I think, specifically for the LGBT community.
Okay, all right. So in this case, it is the mainstream, like the one that probably has the largest audience.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and so that's why they're being grouped together with Google.
Though I think a lot of them are owned by the same conglomerate now, from what I've heard.
I just figured Google already knew who you were going to match with on Tinder.
Yeah,
Google actually picks your spouse. You just don't know it.
Yeah, it's like how do you think they're putting the people in the queue on Tinder for you? Google.
They start suggesting places for them to eat and go. You put you together in the same places.
So is this something we know about because of GDPR?
Yes. So it has been said ever since GDPR was passed that sooner or later they are going to pick somebody to become the example, the poster child of here's the bad things that happen if you mess with GDPR. So we didn't know when that shoe was going to fall. It certainly looked like Google was going to be the scapegoat on this one, and it looks like that may be happening. Now I say may because this is just in Ireland. So this isn't actually the main EU committee is moving forward with this, although there have been people looked at it. France is doing something similar. Ireland has now jumped into it, and it's just an investigation, right? Could result in nothing, but if it results in a full-blown, hey, you're mishandling customer data, it could result in a penalty of up to 4% of their annual, I believe it's revenue. But it really doesn't matter with Google, whether it's net income, revenue, whatever. It's all a ton of money with them. So
they just Scrooge McDuck. He's like, these gold coins is good.
Yeah. And
I'd like to see him really dive into a bag of gold.
Oh, that
Yeah.
broken neck.
Busted up.
Scrooge, you are hurting.
We should animate that.
He's screaming a lot.
Now, as a listener to the podcast, you might ask yourself, it's Google, what do I care, right? The big thing you want to watch out for in all of this as they go through is the legal proceedings that come out of this are going to better define what it means to process data. That term, right, data processor, is used repeatedly throughout GDPR, and it's not very well defined. So right now it's vague enough that if you know anything about your users, including just their first name, that you're considered to be processing their personal information. And so that means you could be subject to penalties if anything goes wrong. So a lot of us in the industry are looking forward to the time when we actually have something a little more well-defined that says, hey, you know what? Somebody's first name, that's not really secret info. That's not, that shouldn't be held to the same penalties. And we just don't have that yet. So that's all what we hope to see as an outcome to this.
It's going to make people.
What I really want to see is how many fake profiles are on Tinder that aren't subject to GDPR.
All the female ones.
That is
Well,
funny.
just to go
Probably.
back, yeah, to go back to what I was saying earlier, IAC is the company that owns Tinder, and they have a group called the Match Group. They own Match.com, BlackPeopleMeet.com, Chemistry.com, Hinge is a big one now, OkCupid, Plenty of Fish, Tinder.
Farmers Only.
Our Time, which is the
Our Time. I've seen the commercial.
Like the over 50.
Our Time?
And there's a few others on here that I've never heard of, but I am on all of those. Actually.
You're on blackpeoplemeet.com.
It's not going well.
Yeah.
That and JDate are right now going horrible.
Yeah. I bet. Oh man, I kind of want to set you up on there and get a date, and then just like us film what happens when you show up. Yeah, like you're catfishing.
It's false advertising.
Yeah, this photo was just taken in a really bad light. That's all. I produce my own light. I am so white. There are no studio lights on right now.
Yeah, I'd never had to invest in reflectors when I went Halloween trick or treating.
You know, pull the Elizabeth Warren. I'm 1/10/24th.
Yeah, all of those.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, no, you did the 23andMe. You know.
I did.
Oh,
yes.
that's right.
I came back white.
It was just a white sheet of paper.
It was Ireland. It was the Netherlands. My dad's from the Netherlands. My mom's from Ireland, and the rest was like general Northern Europe.
You know, I didn't see it. Didn't see it coming.
Yeah, I was shocked.
You know
I
what?
expected something.
I suspect that you're. Can you just give me the sheet and I'll make a copy and put my name on it?
Probably the
White.
same.
Also white.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I do have my uncle is black, so
There you go.
I think that means I can go on there.
Did that show up in the?
Assuming by marriage.
That's by marriage.
by
Yeah.
marriage. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But just for fun, I'll let you know his name is Tom.
Oh, geez.
Awesome.
All right, moving.
That violates GDPR.
Yeah. You're processing his data.
It's a 100% true story, and it's a lot of fun. Hey, Brendan, I see behind you, and I also saw on your website that you guys were selected for the RSA Sandbox. What do they call that?
Finalist.
Innovation Sandbox. So
Yeah.
we're a top 10 finalist for the RSA Innovation Sandbox. We're really excited about it.
Now, do they?
We're the youngest company up there.
So they pick a winner at RSA, or
They pick a winner at RSA, but just making it to the top 10 is a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, that's
We're
huge.
Really excited to be there.
Congratulations on that. And
Hey, thanks.
what else you guys have coming up, or any new launches or things we should be looking out for?
Oh man, it's a nonstop wave of relentless innovation at AppOmni.
You had that line ready. All right.
They've got that printed on T-shirts.
Hey, if people want to find out more about AppOmni and go and check you out and find out maybe about using you for their company, what's the best place to reach with you or reach out to you guys?
Follow us on LinkedIn, hit our website, appomni.com, and sign up for a free demo.
All right. I'm on it. I will do that right after this. But first, I want to let you guys know about a couple things coming up. First of all, we have some webinars. We have one that's going on right now this week, Reimagined Performance Monitor, the update you've been waiting for. And that's a Windows thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Not my problem. All right.
Let's say a bunch of not Windows using guys in here.
That is Thursday, February 13th. We've also got another one, How to Train Your End User, Running an Efficient Help Desk, and that's coming up Thursday, February 27th. If you head over to itpro.tv/webinars, you can check all of those out. Also, we have something that is very fun going on Valentine's Day, which is the cloud dating game. We have one lucky contestant who is deciding between 3 eligible clouds, of course, AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud Platform. And Justin will be representing AWS in that. You ready?
For sure. Yeah, I'm ready.
Very excited. I think you'll do well.
I think I will as well.
And Don is our
who
host.
can resist me?
You can check that out over at ITPro TV, or ITPro.tv. You just have to be a free member to watch in the live stream there. And I'm sure afterwards we'll be putting it up on the YouTubes for everyone to enjoy, because that was a lot of fun, and we'll check that out. And last but not least, head over to go.itpro.tv/Technado. There you can find out about a coupon code for 30% off your subscription to IT Pro TV. And you can also find out about a 7-day free trial for your business and demos and all that good stuff at go.itpro.tv/Technado. Well, thank you, Brendan, for taking the time out of your day to chat with us, and hope you do have a good day there living in the shadow of Salesforce Tower.
And you've had some fun.
Thanks so much for having me.
And congratulations on your big win in the first ever League of Legends segment. That's huge.
Yep. You'll
It
be
is huge.
memorialized.
Biggest accomplishment of my career. Really.
Yeah, I assume you're updating LinkedIn as we speak.
Yep.
I am.
My vote.
He's
best,
removing
guest
all.
ever.
He's removing everything else. He's like League of Legends champion.
All right. Thank you all of you for watching, and make sure to tune in next week. We're going to have another great episode right here on Technado with Don Pezet. We'll see you then.